So we went ahead and just a quick recap. We found the constant, which was 24, the term of my function with no variable. I found the leading coefficient, which again is the first term in the polynomial function, but I have to find the number next to the variable, okay? If there's no number next to the variable, it's automatically 1, all right? I then have to find all the factors of m and n, and then I have to write them in the form of m divided by n, okay? So once I do that, I'm ready to get started. So once again, I'm gonna start by writing my factors, which were plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, 3, 4, 6. It's very long, it's very annoying. Okay, and there we go. Now I also am gonna write on this page again, my original polynomial function. X to the 4th minus 4x cubed minus 7x squared plus 22x plus 24. So now I need to start looking for my zeros. To do that, I'm gonna probably wanna use synthetic division just because of the fact that it's a little bit faster to do. And I don't actually have to worry about that x minus a that can cause confusions right now. Okay, so I can go ahead and just start setting up the synthetic and solving to see if I get a remainder of 0. So my whole goal is I want to have 0 in the remainder. If I don't have 0 in the remainder, it's not a 0 of the polynomial. Okay, so my first step is to set up synthetic division. Could I do the long division? Of course, there's no rule that says you can't, but it is kind of more annoying to do the long division way than to do the synthetic. Synthetic will definitely be a little bit faster. So again, I have my box. I'm setting up my coefficients. Remember, I have to go 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, all my variables are in order. I'm not missing any exponents. They all go in the correct way. So I'm going to go ahead and write 1, -4, -7, 22, and 24. Remember, I only have to write the numbers. No variables, no exponents are needed. Okay. And now the most annoying part of this rational zero theorem is I have to go factor by factor until I get 0 in that remainder at the bottom. So we're going to just start with 1. Always start with 1. You usually find it within the first 3 or 4 terms. You'll never have to keep going, you'll rarely ever have to keep going until you get to 12 or something. So you won't have to do like 20 synthetic divisions, but you will have to do a few. That's why synthetic is a little bit faster. So my next step is start dividing. That's really what I have to do, is just divide until I can get that 0. So start dividing. All right, I bring down my first term. Now 1 times 1 is?
1.
1. So now -4 plus 1?
-3.
-3. -3 times 1?
-3.
-7 minus 3? So this is the same as saying 7 plus 3, but I keep my negative signs. So what would it be?
-10.
-10. -10 times 1?
-10.
Now 22 minus 10?
12.
And now 12 minus 1? I mean 12 times 1
12.
is just 12. Is this going to give me 0?
No.
No. So, all right, 1 is not what I'm looking for. But now I have to try -1. So can I erase this synthetic that I did here?
Yes.
Okay. Because now I get to basically do this all over again, and I don't want to have to keep rewriting my thing. You guys should. Do not do this on your work. You're going to have to show me that you do the synthetic division for all these factors until you found that remainder of 0. But I'm not going to do that. That would take a very long time, and our tutoring session would go really long. So now I'm going to do -1. So again, I bring down the 1. 1 times -1 is?
-1.
-1. -4 minus 1?
-3.
So remember, when there's 2 negatives, it's the same as adding them, but just keeping that negative sign.
-5.
-5. -5 times -1?
-5.
Negative and a negative is a?
Positive.
Positive, so a +5. So now -7 plus 5 is the same as saying 7. 7 minus 5, and I keep my negative. -2. -2 times -1?
+2.
+2. 22 plus 2?
24.
And 24 times -1?
-24.
-24. And now 24 minus 24 will give me that 0. That remainder that I'm looking for, okay? See, I only had to do 2, really. I had to do the first one, and now the second one, I found my 0, okay? So my step 3 would be to write the factor. So I'm gonna have it here as x. Now, remember that when I do synthetic division, okay, it's the opposite of the number in the box. So if this is a -1, my factor is going to be written as what? X if it's the opposite. X plus 1 or X minus 1?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. So when I do the synthetic division, the number in the box is always going to be the opposite when I write it out as a factor. Okay. So if this is a -1, I'll need to write what? +1. So that is my first factor, right? But I'm not done. So remember I gave you guys the fun fact. Alex doesn't know what the fun fact is, but I will share with you the fun fact. The fun fact is the leading exponent, in this case, it's 4. It's the biggest exponent there is, right? The leading exponent is the amount of factors there are, right? So I found 1. That means how many more am I going to have to find?
Wait, what do you mean?
So the polynomial, right? The leading exponent, which is the biggest exponent there is, the degree of the polynomial, is what? It's 4, right? So if there is 4, it means that there are 4 factors. Meaning that, see how I have that x plus 1? I'm going to have 3 more left. That's what it means. It's not a very fun fact, I guess, for you guys, because it means you have to keep going until you find all 4 factors. But it does help you, so at least you have a direction, right? If you got 4 and you didn't know how many you needed, you'd be sitting around doing, I don't know, synthetic division for a day, trying to figure out all the factors and not getting anywhere. Okay, so it tells you there's going to be 4 factors. So here is 1. So I need 4 more. Now, there are 2 options that we can do now. Okay, option 1, and I'll let you guys pick. So our options now. So option 1 is to take the quotient and try to factor. And option 2 is to use synthetic. Forgot how to write some, no, it was my pen. I had an issue. Synthetic with quotient. Okay, so what do these options mean? So the first one says, I can take this quotient, I can write it as a new function, and I can try to factor it that way. However, if it does not factor, I'm gonna have to go with option 2 either way. So it's really, do I wanna add an extra step or just try the synthetic division? Synthetic division is taking this new quotient, this new function, and just continuing the division using the factors until I can find my answer, my next one. So do we want to attempt to factor, or do we just want to start with the synthetic?
Let's start with synthetic.
Okay, Alex says to do 2. All right, so I need to rewrite this. This is now going to become the polynomial function f of x. I remember, if I start with 4, my leading term now is going to start with 3. I always have to do 4 minus 1 when I start. Conveniently, it's just a coefficient of 1, so it is 1x cubed. Okay, I always start 1 less. Doesn't make sense for me to divide to make it smaller, but stay with that exponent 4. Okay, so I have the x cubed, then I'm going to do minus 5x squared minus 2x plus 24. That is my new polynomial that I have to now rewrite on another page because I cannot do synthetic division over here anymore. So can I switch over to the page? Do we copy everything we need to from here?
For me, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Damien? Damien? We're good?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So now I get to rewrite it is x cubed minus 5x squared minus 2x plus 24. That's what it was, right? Yeah, plus 24. And then again, if I did the rational zero theorem using this new polynomial, conveniently, I would still only need the factors of 24, right? Because my constant term is still 24. My leading term is still 1. So it's still just all the factors of 24. Now, because I already did the ones, I'm not going to redo that because it's not going to work, right? I already tried those. So step for this second part, R2, number 1, continue division, starting trying to, this is going to be a long step. Starting from where you left off. Right, so if we did all the ones, I'm going to rewrite the factors here. So plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, 3. So I already did all the ones, meaning I'm now going to start with my 2's. So again, I set up my synthetic division. I'm starting 1, I have x cubed, x squared, x to the 1. So all my exponents are chronological. So I do 1, -5, -2, 24. And again, we're looking for that 0 in that box down there. Okay, so now I'm going to start with, what do we want? +2 or -2?
You said, what do we want?
Yeah, +2 or -2?
I say positive.
Positive? Doesn't matter. We're gonna have to probably do both of them. So let's see if Alex should if he's right. Let's see. Because if we get this 2, then I don't have to do the -2. I can go from there. So I bring down the 1. 1 times 2 is
2.
-5 plus 2.
-3.
-3. -3 times 2.
-6.
-6 minus 2.
Negative.
Okay, sorry.
Damien, what is it?
-8.
-8. -8 times 2.
-16.
All right, is that going to give me 0?
No.
No, Alex misled us.
No.
So now I'm going to try -2. Okay, can I erase all the work for this one?
Yeah.
Alex, we're good?
Yes.
Okay. So now I get to erase it all and try with -2. So again, my 1 gets brought down. 1 times -2.
-2.
-2. -5 minus 2.
-7.
-7. -7 times -2.
+14.
+14. Now -2 plus 14.
12.
12. And 12 times -2.
-24.
-24. And 24 minus 24 gives me that 0. So it was -2, Alex.
Damn.
You steered us on the wrong path. So then my next step, once again, is to write my new factor. So we already had x plus 1. We're now going to add what? X what? Is it +2, -2?
Oh no. Plus.
Plus. Remember, it's always the opposite. So if this is a -2, it's going to be that x plus 2. Okay. Any questions on this one? So our next option, once again, that's weird. I was looking at the textbook and they do some kind of table for synthetic division where it's basically like stacked on each other, what you would do. I don't like it. I don't like it. I mean, I'll look into it to simplify it for you guys, but I feel like it would lead to more confusion. But okay, I got distracted there for a moment. So now we have a new little quotient here. So my options, they're technically the same, but at this point, I want to try option 1 first before I continue with the division. Okay, so this is now going to become, if this was an x cubed, my leading term of my new function is going to be what? If I start with a 3, my new one is now going to be
What?
Negative.
Oh, never mind.
2. 2. I take my 3, I subtract 1, and that gives me my new leading term, my new leading coefficient. Okay, so 3 minus 1 is 2. Then it becomes negative 7x plus 12. So now this looks more familiar. Now this looks like something we can factor, right? The other one, technically you could do grouping, but if you tried to do the grouping, it wasn't going to work. You were going to get 2 different factors, and that's why we had to do the division, right? Sometimes it works out where if I'm at that x cubed function, I can do factor by grouping and it works, and then I save myself some time. But in that case, it didn't. If I were to do that, greatest common factor of the first 2 is x squared, and the second one, and that would leave me with an x minus 5. And there was no way I was going to get an x minus 5 with 2 and 24, 2 even numbers that neither of them are divisible by 5. And you guys are probably like, what is she talking about? Don't worry about it. Option 1 wouldn't have worked if we tried it. So now I want to try option 1 because this is something I'm more familiar with. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write it over here. X squared minus 7x plus 12. That's what it was, right? Yes. So now we're going to do our regular factoring. So our steps. Step 1, multiply A times C. So remember that this is ax squared plus bx plus 12. Okay, so what is A?
One? No.
1. Yeah, A is 1. And C is, oh my gosh, look what I did here. You guys didn't tell me these things. Just like to laugh at Miss Panoma. What is C?
12.
12. So C is 12. So 1 times 12 is just 12. Okay. Step 2, find the factors that equal B. So what are my factors of 12?
4 and 3.
So 4 and 3. What else?
2 and 6.
2 and 6. And my last one, conveniently right there, is 1 and 12. Okay. Now, which of my 2 factors will equal 7?
4 and 3.
4 and 3. So now I get to set up, change my pen. Step 3, set up to factor. Which remember, I bring down my first term, so x squared. I bring down my first sign, which is a negative. And then I use one of my factors, so we'll start with 4. So negative 4x. Negative times a positive is a
Negative.
negative. So I put my negative there, and then I put my 3x, and then I bring down my plus 12. Okay. Now I can go ahead and group my terms or use my choo-choo, right? my little squiggly line that divides my entire thing in half. And now I find my greatest common factors. GCF for both sides. So what is my greatest common factor between x squared and 4x?
Is it 2 or no?
So I have x squared minus 4x. So I don't have a 2 in the first one, so I can't divide. Remember, I'm looking for
No. 1? No, 4.
I'm looking for what I can divide both of them by and not end up with a fraction.
X.
X. Okay. That's really all I can do. Because this x squared is just a 1, there's nothing I can really do. If it were a 2, then it could be 2x. If it were a 4, then it could be 4x. But because there's nothing there, I only have to look at the x's. So if I divide both of these by an x squared divided by x would leave me with what?
X.
Just an x. I keep my negative, and 4x divided by x, all my x's would cancel, and that just leaves me with a 4. Okay, now my other side. I have to bring my negative down. And now what is my greatest common factor between 3x and 12?
4.
What?
Um.
3x and 12. Think about it. Can
Can't be
both
X.
It can't be x. So I'm only looking at my 3 and 12. Do they have anything in common that can divide them both?
3.
3.
Oh, okay.
3 is my greatest common factor. There's no x, so I can only divide by 3. Technically, I'm dividing by a negative 3. Okay, we have to remember that negative 3y, because if I don't, my x minus 4 is not going to match anything. Okay, so negative 3x divided by negative 3x is gone, leaving just an x. And now a negative, or 12 divided by a negative 3 is going to give me what?
-4.
A negative 4. If I didn't have that negative 3 there, I would have ended up with a positive 4 and something would have gone wrong. And I know you guys, and you would have panicked and then done, I don't know what kind of math to try and figure out what happened rather than realize you just forgot to divide by a negative, okay? So always remember to divide by that negative and they have to match. So now, step 6, I'm running out of colors. 6, group the leftovers. So my leftovers are x and -3. So I now have x minus 3 and x minus 4. Yes? Now those get to be paired up with the other two factors that I found, which were x plus 1 and x plus 2. And these are my 4 factors of that original polynomial that we found. I know, it's a lot of work, right? We started at what, at like, I don't know, 10 or so? It has now been about 40 minutes doing this problem. I promise it gets faster the more you do them, but the key is that it is going to take some time. Now, if I look at these, I have a -3 and a -4. Aren't those part of my factors that I originally found within my 24? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Meaning I could have sat there and just done synthetic division all the way from 1 to 24, the positives and the negatives, and I would have found all 4 factors doing it that way, right? But it would have taken so much longer probably, right? So let's see. Just to prove to you guys, I'm going to go back to my original synthetic division problem, and I'm going to use, right? We had our other factors, which are x plus 2, which we already know, x minus 3, and x minus 4. And I'm going to do the synthetic division with the original function using those 2 extra terms that we just found, okay? So, and you're gonna see, I'm not even gonna touch that 0 in the remainder because I have this feeling it's gonna work, right? So if I have an x minus 3, what number goes into my box?
The X?
Oh, is it 3?
3. It's always the opposite. X does not belong anywhere in synthetic division. I never want to see X in synthetic division. If I do, I'm not doing synthetic division, okay? So that X minus 3, I need to keep the opposite of what's in that parentheses, which if it's a negative 3, it's now going to be a positive 3. So I'm going to bring down my 1. I'm going to do this quickly, right? Because I think we're going to end tutoring when we finish these 2, because if we start another problem, we won't be done until 12. So we're going to do more practice like this on Monday. Alex, you guys are going to get the notes. But Veronica and Damien, you guys will have some kind of activity. I might do small groups with you guys. I haven't decided. We will do something with this on Monday. Okay, so don't worry. So that becomes 3, negative 4, plus 3 is negative 1. That's negative 3, negative 10. That's negative 30. Negative 30 minus 22 is 8. Negative 8. 3 times negative 8, negative 24, and there's my 0. So we see it does work, right? I'll just quickly go through it. I brought down the 1. 1 times 3 gave me that 3. Negative 4 plus 3 is the same thing as saying 4 minus 3, but I keep the sign of my larger number, so negative 1. Negative 1 times 3 was negative 3. Negative 7 minus 3, just the addition, keeping that negative, so a negative 10. Negative 10 times 3 is a negative 30. 22 plus negative 30 is the same thing as saying 30 minus 22, keeping the sign, and that gives me a negative 8. Negative 8 times 3 is a negative 24. When I combine that, that's going to give me that 0, okay? So we see that? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so like I tell you guys very often, there's not one set road to getting the answer, but I think we can agree sitting here doing synthetic division for all of these factors would take a very long time. Okay, now my last number, x minus 4. So what number is going to go in the box, Alex? Since Veronica got the last one. Alex?
What?
What number goes in the box?
Anything but X?
I'm working on x minus 4. So what number is going to go in the box?
Okay, so 4.
Just 4. Okay, once again, I'm going to quickly go through this. I bring down the 1. 1 times 4 is just 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. That's 0. That gives me a negative 7. Negative 7 times 4 is a negative 28, which gives me a negative 6. And a negative 6 times 4 is a negative 24. And once again, I'm back at 0. Right? This one was actually easier because I threw in that 0, which was, it's kind of nice. So I bring down the 1, multiplied it by 4, which gave me a 4. And then obviously 4 minus 4 is just 0, right? Anything multiplied by 0 is just 0. And then negative 7 plus 0 is just negative 7. And then when I multiply that, I got my negative 28. which subtracting from 22 gives me that -6. And when I multiply -6 times 4, it gives me that -24 that'll cancel out at the end. So we see every single factor was done using the synthetic division on the original function, and it worked, right? So again, not the only way to do it, kind of a long way to do it. That again, we also did 2 extra pages just to find those other 3 answers. But in the long run, I think it would have been faster doing it this way. Okay. Any questions for me?
Ms. Perdomo, don't forget to do the problem for
Yes.
the people that weren't here because Brianna wasn't able to come.
Yes, the extra credit. Thank you, Veronica, because I almost always forget. So the extra credit problem. Should I make them do an entire problem like that? Or should I be nicer?
Be nice.
Nicer.
Okay. And I guess it is a lot to do without me solving it with you. Okay, we can be fair. So let's see. We're gonna say find m over n, otherwise known as use the rational zero theorem find mn and list all possible zeros of, let's see which equation. Okay, x cubed minus x squared minus 10x minus 8. So all I am asking for, my extra credit people, is for you, looking at this polynomial, to do these first 4 steps. That's fair, right? I think that's fair. Use these 4 steps to find all the factors of this polynomial. Okay, so with that, I'm going to end the recording, and you guys are